This is UMBC Careers Unleashed, where we unleash stories, insights, and expertise to support you on your career journey. Let's dive in.
Both of your journeys through academia and like your professional pathways have kind of in some ways been atypical from the beginning. So share a little bit, Kayla, about kind of your journey just getting to UMBC, coming to UMBC, like what was that like, and how you think that shaped and impacted your professional desire, like your desire for, what you want to do post-graduation.
Yeah. So I guess I would start with, as I was planning on going to UMBC from the get-go, like from high school, then going into UMBC for 4 years. Then COVID happened my senior year of high school.
Wow.
So when that happened and everything was like trying to be indoors and, away from everyone, I decided to do community college.
Okay.
And so I did that for 2 years. And then when I was at community college, I was still going to UMBC as an animation major because I enjoyed animation. And when thinking about a creative field, I was like, yeah, animation, has a lot of practical abilities. It still does. But when I was in community college, I just had this weird feeling that I just didn't resonate with it as much. So I decided to pivot it to graphic design. And
so did you get an associate's degree?
Yeah.
So you got an associate's degree. And was your associate's degree in what was your like the degree name?
It was a basic arts and science degree because when I was thinking about transferring to UMBC, almost all the visual arts degrees have the same basic amount of general ed credits.
Okay.
So, so I just try to cram as many credits as I can into my associate's degree to transfer. So when I decided to transfer from animation to graphic design, it didn't really change my associates.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when I got to UMBC, I just, transferred here, did federal work study for my first year, and then
And where did you work for work study?
Oh, so my federal work study was in the Fine Arts Building. I believe it was called like a lab attendant sort of role. So mainly in the art studios, we have some open studios open for students, and they have like certain printers and stuff. And so if on the days where there's maybe not as many people or there's no classes happening in those rooms, I'm normally sitting in there, and if a student has a question about how to print something, I would come in and help them.
So you are saying this like as if this was just the most natural and casual thing. But I want to like unpack that a little bit. So you graduated from high school during COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's one thing, right? Like all of your life, school was in person. And then at the end, you were like that last little push through. You started your senior year in person, and then March, the world shuts down. And you're like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Regroup. Let's figure this thing out.
Yeah.
So you then start community college. And was community college virtual when you started?
Yeah, it was my entire associate's degree was through a computer.
Really?
Yep.
So now tell me, was there a transition in like your mindset, not only coming from community college, but also being in college in person when you came to UMBC?
Yes, it felt so different. And I almost, because every start of every school year, especially during middle school and high school, I get the little willies when coming and seeing people. And I kind of felt that again when coming for my first technically junior year, coming to UMBC and sitting down in a classroom and being around people.
It's like, 15th grade. Something like that.
I was so nervous because it just feels like, whoa, this is what college is supposed to feel like. And I'm experiencing that halfway through my degree. So it felt different. It felt different for sure.
And then you said you had federal work study. Okay, so how long were you at UMBC before you took your major from animation to graphic design?
Oh, I did it when I was at community college.
Okay, so you transitioned it there.
I transitioned there. It was an easy flip since everything lined up anyway, so it wasn't a hard decision to make in my head it was, but when you actually like say to the advisor, hey, I want to switch my major, she's like, oh yeah, that works perfectly.
So now you're at UMBC, federal work study, and you're a lab attendant.
Yeah.
A lab attendant. What did you call the job title?
I think it's like open studio lab attendant. I think
Okay,
that's the
so a
title.
lab attendant. And you were kind of like the support person in the space if people had questions about how to use equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that prepared you in any way for like the work that you desire to do in the future?
I would say partially, because it felt like a nice progression into sort of the next position that I had, which was at the Career Center as the graphic design intern of that year. It was just slowly getting used to communicating with people and kind of being on my own instead of like being guided by other people. But yeah, the open studio, I'm very thankful for that position. It was a nice transition, and also just federal work studies are really nice to have on your resume.
Yeah.
So it was really good.
So with the federal work study, did you have to still apply for the job? It's like, is there like a certain bucket of jobs and then you apply for that one?
Yeah, to look for a federal work study, I believe there's a web page where I think you type in federal work study at UMBC, and it'll show you different areas. Like I think one's like computer science, IT, finance, and then arts. And I clicked on arts, and they had different ones. And all you have to do is, I think, just email that professor and just say, hey, I'm looking for a federal work study opportunity. And then you guys can contact back and forth, and you should be able to have like a little like mock interview. It's not too serious, but it was pretty, straightforward when I got my position. Yeah.
So then you snuck this one in there, but I heard it. You said then the next year after being the lab technician, you were then the graphic design intern for the one and only Career Center, right? And how did you find that?
It was coincidentally, there was a email, because I look at my email postings. There was one for like creative arts and humanities in the Commons on their little Main Street area, and I was like, you know what? I'll check that out. It wasn't during any of my classes, so I was like, I'll just check that out, because I was.
So where did you saw it? Like a physical posting somewhere? It was like on the wall?
On the email. It was like an
email.
email list.
Email. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? Because it was during, I think, April, and I was already neck deep in like applying to ones almost any and all internships. I put like we put like the location on. I put it like 50 miles. I'm like anything. I was looking for something, and I was like, I'll just walk down and see what they had. And there were some good opportunities. There was one for other ones I was looking at was the Commons or Common Vision, which is also a really cool spot for any like animators or graphic designers. But I saw the Career Center had one, and theirs was like from fall to spring, so basically like your whole academic year long. And I talked to the supervisor Dustin Ebby about it, and he was like, yep, just apply online through Handshake, and I'll be able to do an interview if you do that. And I did, and I got it.
Oh, right. This is like federal work study. Then you interned at the Career Center, and then you pushed into, even though you said you applied for like 80 different things, you then pushed into having an internship like elsewhere abroad, like not even on the UMBC campus.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is, if you had your own special secret sauce, like how are you, like what is your vision for yourself? Do you have a vision, or are you kind of just like stumbling along finding things? Like how are you able to year after year stay building on your professional experience?
For me, it was definitely when I thought about coming here and transferring, I had this sort of mentality that I'm already 2 years behind everyone else, and I need to find an internship so that when I it's one of those things where you should ideally have an internship before you graduate, and then you find a job and they look at your previous work experience, and then boom, you get a job.
Okay.
Ideally, I know that doesn't happen for everyone, but I was like, I'm already 2 years behind everyone. I'm taking all of my, what do you call that thing? Degree. I'm taking all my degree
like
classes
your major,
now.
Your major specific classes.
I'm not taking them in the ideal time frame that everyone else is. So as I'm learning graphic design now, I need to find something to put on my resume.
Okay.
So the federal work study job came in clutch that
Uh-huh.
year, an internship, and then now this internship. In my head, I'm just like, I need to sort of make myself like on my resume look ideal for them once I graduate. I'm sort of at everyone else's level.
So you were motivated. So coming out of your pandemic and post-pandemic experience, like you were saying, basically, now I've got to make up.
I've
Like
got
so
to make
you,
up
you
that time.
so it's almost like you
Yeah.
know jogging along, and then you sprinting down the last. And I know that sounds real intense, like sprinting, but you're wanting to make sure that you're able to compete. You want to be able to stand out. You want to be able to. That's
Yeah.
awesome. How you kind of turned something that maybe a person might not think as a positive experience, you leveraged it to help you kind of motivate you to do something. Now, different for you, I know, we've had a chance to talk a little bit off camera, but you also had like an unconventional kind of journey post high school and into like your, collegiate years. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, so I have a very unorthodox way of getting here. It's been a long journey. So, out of high school, I didn't really know what I really wanted to do, right? So
Okay.
I opted to go to community college.
Okay.
And initially I did computer science solely for the fact that I knew that if you graduate in computer science, you can get a lot of money. So I was like, you know what, let me do this.
Okay.
But I never really enjoyed it. And I wasn't really good at it either. Because
Okay.
I'm not, like, I can be technical, but not too technical, you know what I mean? Especially theory-wise.
Okay.
And so at community college, I was also working at Best Buy, right? Doing retail, like just as a salesperson.
Okay.
Selling home theater goods. So that was doing that part-time.
Okay.
But so I was getting work experience that way.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of as a student, you can literally give me award for worst student of all time, right? Because I was flunking classes. I
Wow.
wasn't doing good. At community college, I was put on academic suspension like numerous times, actually.
Wow.
So I was not a good student, like, at all.
Well, I want to pause you there.
Yeah.
Was it that you were not a good student, or was it that you had positioned yourself in a like an academic discipline that just wasn't the best suited for you?
So it was a mix, actually. So one was I wasn't naturally good at that subject, like coding and stuff, but I also didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
And not knowing what I wanted to do, it kind of put me in this hamster wheel of like
Yeah.
the unknown, if
Okay.
you will. And so when you don't know where you want to go, you're just kind of in a blur almost, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, and you're not motivated because you don't have goals. Because if you know where you want to go, you can set goals, right? But if you don't know where you want to go, you don't really have any goals, right?
Okay.
And
So then where did the shift come? Because there has to be, right, a shift at some point.
Yeah, so the shift came a little bit later, actually. So I actually worked at Best Buy, right?
Okay.
And then I got an IT AV role
Okay.
because initially I wanted to go into computer science, right? So I said this would give me some work experience to see if I like, what I want to do. And then I was working that IT role, and a thing called COVID-19 hit.
So wait a minute. So ITAV, was this at Best Buy, or did you get a whole nother job?
So this was at the community college.
Oh, okay. So you got a job. So how did you find that job then?
So that job I actually got through a cousin who used to work there. He was leaving, and he needed someone to replace him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is like the hidden job market. It's like, hey, there's this job opening about to come in there. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
You're using your network. Okay.
Yeah, so I leveraged the fact that because I didn't really have any technical experience. I did have sales experience.
Okay.
But at Best Buy, you're selling technology, right?
Right.
So you need to know how technology works, and you need to provide customer service. And that's
Okay.
a huge aspect of, the IT world.
Okay.
And so that's how I leveraged myself from Best Buy to that IT role.
So did you have to like be able to speak to that on your resume, or you just like leveraged your technology knowledge in the interview?
I did both.
Okay.
I did both. They want to know that you have customer service experience,
Okay.
but you want to be able to relate to them as well, instances where those skills came into play.
Okay.
And so I did the IT and AV work for a bit, right, into the pandemic. And then due to, COVID-19, funding and stuff for schools were, a little weird. And so unfortunately I got laid off.
Okay.
And so at that period, I was also taking classes at, the community college still, but virtually, right?
Okay.
Completing those, and I'm doing fine in those. And I'm like, you know what?
Were you still a computer science major at that point?
So at that time, I believe I went to undecided.
Okay.
I switched to undecided. I'm like, this isn't for me. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. And so I was taking classes more geared towards like business because it was a little less technical, right?
Okay.
And so I was like, you know what? I need to work. I just love to work. And so I got a job working at PNC as a banker, actually.
Oh, so this is not your first time in that kind of like banking world. Okay.
Exactly. So I worked at PNC as a banker, and it was kind of sales and a little bit service as well. So I was selling like credit products and doing loans and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so I got the work experience there, and that kind of opened up my eyes to the finance world just a little bit, on the retail side of things. But I gained that experience as well. And then at that point, I'm like, you know what? I need to repair my GPA, and really work hard to, fix what I did academically damaging wise, and try to really fix myself and try to figure out where I want to go. So I was like, you know what? Let me go to the UMBC site. Let me see what, the requirements are and if I could reach it. And so I spent a whole year really focused repairing my GPA. And that's exactly what I did. I got my GPA up. I retook the courses I failed, and
the computer science classes.
Passed all of them. So some of them were like mathematics, and some of them were computer science. So a mix of both.
Okay.
So I did all that, and I was good. And I learned that once you get to UMBC, it's a whole new slate.
Yeah.
Right.
With regard to your GPA.
With your GPA, it's a whole new slate. And at that point, I'm like, like this could really be a new beginning for me. But this time, I need to go in with the actual plan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I do political science? Because my natural inclination is actually kind of towards political science. Like when I wake up in the morning, I love to read what the political developments are.
Okay.
Like right now, at the time of this podcast, we have multiple global conflicts going on.
Okay.
So I wake up and I see what's going on, what are the updates.
And
I'm like, let me do this because I do enjoy it. And so I transferred to UMBC, thankfully, and I did the political science courses.
Okay.
And I did really well in all of them.
Awesome.
Okay.
Really well. And I enjoyed them too.
So was there a shift in your like self-esteem at some point in there?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like when you feel confident about what you're doing, you're enjoying what you're doing, and you have a sort of a plan of what you want to do, that's when you get that fulfillment, right? And that's when you feel motivated to complete the tasks that are at hand. And so for me, coming to UMBC, also everyone here is very intelligent, they're creative. And so when you're in that type of environment, you only feel that, you need to bring the best out of yourself, right? And you need to compete and you need to fight. And so that's what I did when I got here.
And so were there other things between coming to UMBC and then your most recent internship with Morgan Stanley that you intentionally brought things that you brought into your toolkit that you were like saying, okay, I'm preparing myself for, when I graduate, how I can, make myself more marketable for job candidacy.
Absolutely. So when I was at UMBC, I didn't just stop working.
Okay.
What it is, I did eventually the PNC.
Okay.
Just to, get myself started at UMBC, right? It's a new slate. I want to focus in on my academics. But then when I was ready, I was like, you know what? It's time. I need to, find some more work experience. So remember how I told you I worked at Best Buy, right?
Yeah.
So one of my managers actually got moved up to a corporate position at Best Buy. And it was with like a whole new division. And so I heard about the opportunity and I understood he was working there. And so I got a corporate role at Best Buy, working there with a department called LPFR.
Okay.
And so essentially I was an omni-channel analyst. So it was a full-time role, right? So what I would do is I would work the whole day.
Yeah.
And then in the evening I would take classes.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was gaining work experience that way for pretty much like a whole year, actually. And so after that, I said, you know what? I need to really finish up school. I'm glad with the work experience I've had. And so I left that role, and I've kind of full-sended, my academics and have done well. And that's when, I think it was October or September of last year, the trip came about to Morgan Stanley. And then that's kind of how I, ended up there.
Wow.
Yeah.
This conversation with the two of you is getting really interesting.
Yeah.
And I you talked about so many things.
Yeah.
Right? We initially talked about how you were able to find unconventional like internships given, the work environments, right? Like you ended up working for applied physics lab, but as a graphic designer or communications intern, and then you as a political science major are now in the banking industry.
Yeah.
Right? But we're also now growing at this topic. To summarize kind of like what I heard you say to me is that initially when you graduated from high school or you had come out of high school, your initial motivation was to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so you thought computer science is the way to do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if this is who I am. This is how you make money, and I'm smart. I can do this. And so you got into those kind of classes and realized like this is not for me. And so that kind of set you on, from what I could hear you saying, like a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
But all the while you kept at least in some way a job, right? Like a part-time job here, a part-time job there, then you got a full-time job and was going to school at night. Like, so tell me, what is, and I asked Kayla this a little earlier in the first episode, like what was your secret sauce? Like what was the thing that kept you committed to like still trying to build yourself in some way? Like what was the thing? What was your motivator?
So I think for me, I think the motivation was I wanted to make an impact,
Okay.
right, in some way, shape, or form. And in order for me to do that, that meant, at least for my situation, making sure that I got my education completed, right? And so ultimately, if I wanted to build a career for myself, it required that bachelor's degree. And so this was it for me. So for me, I felt like I needed to stay committed and I needed to give my all in order to get to that end point. So, and then also I just want to make my family proud, my friends and family proud, right? I think everyone does. And so in order, I had to, make sure that I fixed any issues that existed or prevented me from getting to that end goal, right? Most of it was from myself, right? So changing my habits and ensuring that I had a plan in place.
Okay.
And advisory, right? I would say making sure you're speaking with your advisors, and then also making sure that you speak with professors as well, right? Because they have insights and they've seen students go through all types of different things, right? So incorporating all those things and utilizing all the resources that are available to you are really what helped me to like stay committed to getting to success.
And just listening to your journey, you said so many things, but I think that a lot of times, maybe higher education, like college, sells this idea of what you were talking about, like you got to get an internship because these jobs are looking for you to have 3 years of experience. But where do you get the experience if you've been a student, right? And you kind of said so many things. You said, one, your network, right? Like your professors, having conversations with them is a time saver. Like that's what you're saying. It's like that they've seen this before. They have insights about like whatever your career path might be. So like going up to them and asking them questions. You also said when you were talking about the internship the summer analyst internship that you just had, how you were able to go out and leverage the experts that were in the space where you were working at, right? Like, so that's another time saver. You were saying like, I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before. We have this challenge before us, but maybe if we seek out the people who have used this type of methodology or who have this knowledge base, that they could also save us some time. So that's also your network, right? Like asking them questions. And you even said that too, like if you're ever in an internship situation where maybe you're not getting the kind of experience that you want, that's a way for you to take the reins back into your own hands by like asking people questions. So you both of you, but I'm just saying in this particular instance that I'm talking about right now, that you have said so many great things where it's like you're leveraging your network. You said also a family member was the person who told you about a job on your community college campus, right? And then there was this unique belief that it just feels like that you had, right? Like I can leverage my knowledge in this way. to get my foot in the door there. I have a question for you. How would you encourage someone who feels like a little bit, I guess maybe not, I don't know if the word lost is right, but someone who doesn't have a firm footing yet.
Yeah.
They're in between that. I'm not sure what I want to major in. Like I started because I want to make a lot of money, but I'm realizing that this is not for me. But how do I stay true to my heart's desire, my ambition, and my passion? Like, what would you say to that person?
So I would say do a couple of things.
Okay.
So one, I would say research what's out there, and don't limit yourself to a certain boundary.
Okay.
Because if you limit yourself to a certain boundary, I think it's more unlikely for you to find what you want to do.
Okay.
And then I would also say,
and when you say limit yourself to a certain boundary, what do you mean by that?
So like for me, for example, I came in thinking I'm only doing computer science because the money's great, right?
Right.
For political science, typically it's known, if you're in political science, you're going to go into politics or you're going to be a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
But upon researching, there's just so much different things out there. Like there's public policy, there's intelligence work, you could work for defense.
Yeah.
There's so many different things. So if you research, you're able to uncover those opportunities, right?
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand.
So that's one thing. I would also say put yourself into different situations and try to go out and gain experience. I know it's very broad, but even if you work a certain job, you're going to gain something out of it. Like I feel like for all the jobs I worked, I discovered what I like to do and what I don't like to do. And that kind of contributed to me going towards political science. Like I might like certain aspects of a sales job, but I don't like these aspects. I might like these aspects of working retail, but I don't like these aspects, right? In a corporate world, this is how you treat clients and this is what you don't want to do, right? And then you also gain real world rewards and real world like consequences as well, right? You know what I mean? And in that sense, what I mean is this. So in a club, for example, right, you can gain certain experiences, right? But there's nothing like working on a huge sale, right? And something goes wrong and you lose that client for that sale or use the client forever, right? Or the sale goes well and you gain a new client and they come back more, right? And so there's nothing that beats getting that real world experience. It's not simulated. So put yourself in situations where you're really applying yourself to your community or to a business and really learning like various different skills. That's what I'd say.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. For you, Kayla, I feel like that some of the things that I heard from you, I think especially for folks who are going to be watching or experiencing this podcast who also experienced the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Like that changed so many things for so many people. And I mean, we were used to doing life one way. And especially being, I think, at a tender age where the world shut down, it changed like communication styles. It challenged people to not be as social, maybe to be more nervous, maybe to be more anxious in certain settings. And I really heard you flowering, right? Like that, though you experienced those challenges, though you ended high school and completed your associate's degree pretty much all online, that it didn't cause you to like lose confidence in yourself, or maybe not confidence is the right word, but it didn't cause you to quit, on kind of like, okay, the world has gone on, so tell me, like, what are the things? I know you mentioned the work study, which is great, right? You have to get that comes through your financial aid package.
Yeah.
So not everybody has access to that, but if you do, you leverage that. Then you pushed it on into finding kind of like an on-campus something. Yeah. And then that was kind of almost like by not accident, but you had applied for so many things and this was kind of the thing that worked, which you leveraged and used to your advantage. And then you now went to like an external internship. So here's my question. Between you call yourself a super senior, but between now and graduation, are there things that Kayla is still doing to build, for you to build yourself? Like, are there things that you have on the horizon or things that you're considering, like, I want to do this year, or I want to go here? I know you've had some travels. We talked about that off campus. But I'm saying, like, what are the things that you're doing that are still adding to you and your skills and you know, who you are?
So mainly it's like two things.
Okay.
Two things that I mainly want to do before I graduate are participate in some sort of art gallery or some sort of space where I could post my artwork or put it up and someone will buy it, because I've never done that before. And there's this amazing professor, Beth Yashnik, who does and participates in a lot of those gallery spaces and really encourages her students to explore those. And that's something I've never done before, but I really want to do before I graduate. And the other thing is also my favorite medium of art is ceramics. And I took one class in high school and I fell in love with it, but UMBC unfortunately doesn't have it here. So before I graduate, I want to at least try to do it maybe at a community college or one of the ceramic spaces around here or Baltimore, just to experiment. But yeah, those are the two main things, because those are two things that I haven't done yet. And especially doing the gallery stuff, that would be out of my comfort zone, because I still have this sense of like nervousness when it comes to putting my artwork out there, aside from, let's say, giving it to my professor or supervisor, but to actually like make my own stuff outside of a structured setting and to have complete strangers look at it and be interested in it. I definitely want to experience that at least once.
You go. You go. I think that the two of you both have strategy. Yours, to me, seems like that it started more unconventional.
Yeah.
And even if I could use the word chaotic, right? Because it wasn't as clear and murky. But then at some point you kind of clicked in and then you were like knocking down these, I think maybe like things that feel, I don't want to say conventional, but like it seems like you had a clear strategy, like this. Yours was born out of adversity in some ways, but I feel like that the energy behind your strategy also has a more creative feel. It's like more of like a wonder, you know? It's like, oh, let me go and work in a lab and show people how to do this and then do design. And then you push into now the science space, kind of that's where things kind of get formal, but wanting to put your artwork in a gallery. Now you're a graphic design artist, so that might not be so unconventional, but just to believe in, you know,
the
just
ambition.
Like the ambition and just the joy, because it's like the creation of it all. And you can definitely put that on a resume.
Yeah.
And then you're a graphic artist, but ceramics, and that's your favorite? Who knew?
Yeah.
I've learned so much from the both of these folks, from the both of you, and you are a testament to kind of like not grow where you're planted, but like scatter some seeds and water the ground and believe that you know, things are going to pop up. It's not like you just landed somewhere and then no, you did put your efforts towards something, but you didn't just narrow yourself in. And I think that that's a testament and a word of encouragement and of advice to folks, right? To broaden your horizons, for them to broaden their horizons, think outside of the box, but all the while staying committed to, you know, kind of like, I can do this, even if you stumble and bumble all the way through. So y'all have personally inspired me, and, you know, on and off camera. And I think that, you know, y'all are going to do the same for other folks. So thanks for hanging with us this afternoon, and we really appreciate you. Thanks for hanging with us on the pod.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's nice meeting y'all. All right, we did it.